I told you I wanted to tell you about Elbridge Gerry. This just for the fun of it. Let's just take a break from the hysteria of the news for the moment and go back in time. Elbridge Gerry was an American revolutionary. He was a big supporter of Thomas Jefferson in writing the Declaration of Independence. He's one of the signers of the Declaration of Independence. He showed up with and he supported our side, as it were, during the Revolutionary War, obviously. He showed up for the Constitutional Convention in Philadelphia in the summer of 1787. However, he refused to sign the Constitution when the Constitution was written there in Philadelphia because it did not have a Bill of Rights attached to it. Nonetheless, it did get majority signings, and it went off to a 2-year process where the states ratification process. The states, 2/3 of the states accepted it, and by 1789, and boom, we had a country, and George Washington was president, and Elbridge Gerry became a member of Congress. And was representing Congress from the state of Massachusetts, as I recall. I'm doing all this from memory. I probably should have printed out some notes here, but I want to tell his story because gerrymandering is so in the news, and everybody thinks, oh, Elbridge Gerry, gerrymandering, yeah, right. He then became the Vice President of the United States in the James Madison administration, the 5th President Madison, our presidents, Washington, Adams, Jefferson, Madison. He was the 5th vice president, though. There had been 2 vice presidents under one of the presidents. I think it was Washington. I could be wrong. But in any case, he was the vice president in the Madison administration. And he ultimately, in 1812, became the governor of Massachusetts. And during that time, Massachusetts passed the first law that gave their legislature the ability to redraw congressional districts based on their own opinion rather than on some kind of formula. And their own opinion being politics. And Elbridge Gerry, interestingly enough, had always been an opponent of political parties. He was with Jefferson and we have a book coming out about this, by the way. Dan Sisson wrote the original book 40 years ago. It's called the American Revolution of 1800. And if you Google Hartmann and Revolution, or don't Google it, if you plug it into the search engine over at Amazon or at Barnes & Noble, presumably at Powell's and some of the independent booksellers, it should pop up. It's available for pre-order now. It'll be out in November, I think. But this book that Dan Sisson wrote, and I added a opening and ending chapter to it and helped Dan go through and edit the whole rest of the book over the last 2 years. We've been working on this thing. These guys absolutely did not believe in faction. They did not believe and the political parties that faction could cause. So anyhow, gerrymandering, creating congressional districts that look like salamanders has been kind of blamed on Elbridge Gerry because he signed that legislation. He did so very reluctantly. He opposed it. But back in those days, politicians figured, okay, if a majority of the politicians representing a majority of the people decide that they want something, then it's my obligation to go along with that. And things actually got done. And Elbridge Gerry signing the legislation in Massachusetts that provided for what we refer to today as gerrymandering, even though he opposed it, is an example of that. That in the founding era and in the 2 or 3 generations that followed the founding era, arguably right up to the presidency of James Polk in the 1840s, as I recall, and his starting war with Mexico and annexing part of Mexico, which Abraham Lincoln, as a state legislator in Illinois, was furious about. The Mexican-American War. I mean, Lincoln just thought this was an abomination. But up until basically the Polk administration, maybe the Jackson administration, it's hard to say exactly when we started shifting from being a very nonpartisan country. Some would put that shift at during the Jefferson administration. Some would even say it was before that, the Federalists and the Anti-Federalists during the Adams administration. But anyhow, it was during that era that they would have looked at what John Boehner is doing right now, refusing to bring to the floor for a vote legislation that has passed the Senate, comprehensive immigration reform, an extension of long-term unemployment benefits. The founders would have considered what John Boehner is doing to be treason. It would have been unthinkable. So anyhow, I just wanted to share that with you. Elbridge Gerry, pretty cool guy, actually. Go back and read the history of this guy and what he did, and one of our more significant founders. Got a bad rap. We talk gerrymandering, and he was not a fan of it.